Hi again, glad to have you with us. I'm your host, Jeff Smith. At the end of 2024, Leading Edge will have hosted 131 guests. And our goal each week is to hear from those with passion and purpose. And boy, we sure got that this year. It all started with a trip downstate and a conversation with the governor. What is the draw, I guess, for your administration to seize opportunities for Northwest Ohio?
Northwest.
And can you tell us anything as far as that data center is concerned, because we still don't have a name on it?
Well, what we can tell you about data centers in general is while they do not employ a lot of people, they attract other companies to come. And that's why we love data centers, because other companies see they want to be close to a data center. Mm-hmm. And so when you're getting a data center, that's a good indication. And it's a good indication of what's going to come. Look, if you look at Northwest Ohio, think of the assets that are there. We have the water. Northwest Ohio is located within a day's drive. You got 60% of Canada, 60% of the United States. You've got a good workforce. I mean, think of the workforce. So all of these things are just very, very positive. And if we can, make sure that we are educating people and make sure that everybody has great opportunities, we're going to be just fine.
Next, he was coming off a second straight state high school championship in football, but Central Catholic head coach Greg Dempsey knows the lessons go way beyond the field.
It's tough. I mean, because I think so much through social media and other aspects, it's more on top of these guys, these kids these days. And I think one of the big things is recognizing when something's up with a kid. Mm-hmm. I think trying to build relationships is the biggest thing possible for anybody. Is life's built upon meaningful relationships, and can you have that deep, meaningful relationship with 125 kids? I don't know, but when you have a staff and you're blessed with great role models and great father figures for the kids, it's finding who has that connection with the kid that can help them get through tough times. High school kid, you're having problems with your girlfriend, you're not starting in sports, which I deal with. People wouldn't think that's a big deal, but when you have 80 kids and 11 can start, that affects a high school kid, because they work all year for that. And trying to teach them how to deal with that, how to have their role on the team, how to excel at that role, how to hopefully make their role grow. And that's something that's going to affect them later on in life, because we're all started somewhere at a job where it wasn't exactly the job we wanted to start at, and we had to work our way up by our time. In today's world, it's very instant gratification, and that's the last thing football is. It's not an instant gratification sport.
Do you tell your coaches to check in with the players and make sure everything's going okay?
They do it. They know they do it.
Yeah.
I'm blessed with that good a staff, and sometimes it's and when you're in meetings on the weekend, we go through our position group reports, and sometimes everybody else finds out a kid's going through something, and how can we be supportive and things like that, because it's mental health is something that thank God's become to the forefront for these kids, and recognizing that is a big thing, because young high school boys, they have a lot of pride, and they're not going to share that all the time. But if you have that relationship, or you're able to see something going on, you got a chance of finding something out early before it does some serious damage to a kid mentally.
Of course, Central Catholic really close to winning that third championship this year. Speaking of football, another guest this year was Colonel Greg Gatson. He's an actor, an author, and a veteran who's a double amputee, the result of an IED blast in Iraq. But he was also an athlete playing football at West Point, and for him, sports gave him the foundation he needed.
I would definitely say that sports is really probably the core of my inherent resiliency. As again, a cliche, you get knocked down, you get back up, and that's what football is all about. You get knocked down, and you got to get up, you got to fight, and over 10 plus years of my life playing that contact sport, it built into me the basis of a resiliency of never quitting, and just understanding that you can keep going, you can endure, and I had that. I say first from the basis really of my parents. My parents who are both deceased now, but born in the 40s, in the Jim Crow South of South Carolina, and giving me appreciation of their upbringing and their resolve to push through, was the basis of my own understanding and appreciation of never quitting.
We also followed the story this year of deplorable living conditions in HUD housing in the Glass City. It reached a boiling point. Toledo City Council members decided enough was enough and revealed that it may be just the beginning. Listen, how many more of these apartment complexes do we not know about?
It's several. And that's why City Council is working with the administration and with our local Congresswoman's office and our Senator's office. J.D. Vance actually reached out as well. We're going to work together to create something where we're not going to be reactive anymore. We're going to be proactive. So those apartment complexes that aren't doing right by people and taking care of those homes for the people, like the contract and lease says, we're coming for you.
We're going to hold you accountable.
Ladies.
We're going to write legislation to make sure that we hold you accountable.
And how soon will that be done?
We're working on it right now.
It won't be long at all.
One of my favorite interviews of the year was talking with Toledo native businessman and author Tom Seaman. His book about his life and his maturation dropped in the spring, and he wrote it after somebody famous asked him to.
I mean, the real story about it is for years I wanted to write it, but then at dinner parties and things and talking to friends, I would tell them the story, and they hadn't expected that. They looked at me and probably saw, oh, upper middle class, or they created some story about what my background was.
Yeah.
But whatever story they created, it certainly wasn't, oh, he grew up in the projects in this giant family under these circumstances and came out of it, and now he's who he is today. And then I was at an event where I met Bill Clinton. I had met him once before, but I met him for the second time. And he was very focused on me at this event. He had evidently been prepped a little bit on my story, and he loved the story because he too grew up poor. And he told me after hearing the story and really focusing on me, which he's famous for, he said, you have to write this book. So I wrote the book, and after I wrote the book, I went back to Bill Clinton and I said, hey, I wrote this book. Can you give me a blurb, which is a statement of support for the book?
Yeah.
And sure enough, he did it, and that appears on the cover of the book.
He did, and we're going to show it right here. He said, quote, a terrific and moving memoir, dreaming big and making great things happen. Deepak Chopra also saying, and
Yes.
somebody who you know also saying, read it, and be inspired.
Yes.
So you're getting some good press, not only from friends, but also you shared with me, and I think that was much to your surprise, some of the other responses that have come out from this book, the Harvard Crimson coming out and saying how they want people to read this.
Right.
That's got to make you feel good.
Yeah, and others have said, it's maybe a book that we need now, in the sense that even though you could have made this book about all the sad things that happened, and some of those are in the book, but it's really a happy, uplifting book. And that's actually true to the reality of what happened. Why? I had an outlook on life that I thought I had a happy childhood through all that, and I did, thanks to a wonderful mother. But I also, I saw wonder everywhere, and I still kind of do, But as you grow older, as a famous writer Saint-Exupéry said, you tend to lose your sense of wonder as you grow older. And I think one of the ideas in the book is, let's try to hang on to our sense of wonder even as we age, almost as though we're children. You know how children see everything with wonder?
Absolutely.
Well, I continued that into later life, but even I probably have lost some of it now, of course. But I continued that sense of wonder for quite a long time in my life. I saw wonder everywhere.
If you have a reading list for 2025, put Tom's book on it. When we come back, a World War II daughter, bourbon, and an impractical joker. We'll be right back. Welcome back. We continue this year in review of Leading Edge. I love getting the chance to read. In the book, Powerful Phrases for Dealing with Workplace Conflict, it really opened our minds to resolution.
There are conflicts that we choose not to engage in. We have a strong difference of opinions, but the stakes are so low that okay, that's a conflict. We have a strong difference, but it really doesn't matter. I'm going to choose to either overlook that, ignore it, or not engage with that because it's not that important. But there are plenty of subjects at work where we should be having meaningful, productive conversations, where we do have intense differences of opinion, different perspectives, and the stakes matter. It's outcome for our employee experience as a team, for the customers, constituents, clients we're serving, the products we're delivering, and the outcomes really do matter. And so we want to engage on those. We just want to do that in a productive way.
2024 marked 80 years since Allied troops stormed the beaches of Normandy. Dan Cummins and I interviewed the local daughter of a D-Day paratrooper, part of the Band of Brothers. You've traveled to Normandy multiple times,
About 8
the
times.
beaches, and seen your
Oh, yeah,
father's
walked up
gravesite.
and down everywhere.
Talk a little bit about going to this 80th and what it means to you.
Well, I didn't think I was ever going to make the 80th when I was there on the 75th. I'm going to be 88 in September.
Oh, God
So
love you.
I never thought I was going to make it back there. God willing, I'll still make it. But no, it's not just to honor my father, it's to honor all of them. There's so many of them. There's almost 10,000 buried there, plus the Wall of the Missing, which they never show on camera. It's in the back of the big monument, and it covers every service that's back there. And I don't know, there's got to be a couple thousand names back in there.
Dignitaries, you said, President Trump, Macron was there the last time.
Yeah, there was a representative, the Prime Minister from England, President of France, President of the United States, all the vets that were there, they were be on the stage, and it's a very nice ceremony.
Even at the young age of 88, I mean, do you still get over there and have a kumbaya moment with others like you who
yes.
have sought out that information?
Right, absolutely, yeah.
And have you
Because I'll
struck
tell you one
friendships
thing,
because
I
of
mean,
it?
it's something that all of us, we call ourselves, kids, but we all say the same thing. Most people don't get it. They don't.
It was an absolute treat this summer to talk to one of Toledo's favorite sons. I asked Jamie Farr on his 90th birthday how this kid from Toledo went on to make it big in Hollywood.
I always say with limited looks and limited talent, I got unlimited success. I'm surprised also for myself. As your child and some of the other children there, they have hopes and dreams in whatever neighborhood, whichever neighborhood they live in. And I never imagined that all of the fantasies that I had in my mind would turn out to be as great as has been. I look at all of the shows and I say, oh my goodness, I remember listening to that on radio, and now I'm working with that person. And that person is now my friend. And we converse with one another on the telephone. We're actually buddies. And I said, how in the world did I possibly get there? I can't tell you. It's just, I think it's just amazing luck.
Bourbon has undergone a resurgence in the last decade, and we asked a so-called whiskey ambassador to school us on the taste and its popularity. What's your palate? How has it changed over the years? What do you like tasting in bourbon? What are some of the flavors that make a good bourbon in your estimation? Because like you said, not everybody's going to agree with you.
No,
right?
they don't. And there's always at least 2 or 3 people in the room that know more than I do. The thing about bourbon is that being a unique product, and it's made very similarly all over the United States, although the vast majority of it comes out of Kentucky and Tennessee, you can make it anywhere in the U.S. Any state can make bourbon. So bourbons are all very similar because the recipe that's involved and the way that it's aged in oak barrels, that makes it unique. And you can pick out any kind of bourbon. You can get the 5 or 10 best bourbons in America, and if you nose them, if you smell them, if you really took the time to think about what you're smelling, they're all going to smell very similar. And most of that comes from the barrels that are used.
What are the hints of things that you think?
Vanilla.
Okay.
Vanilla's a big one. And some people call
As a good note?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And some people call it butterscotch or caramel, but it's a vanilla smell. And that's unique to bourbon, and it comes through very strongly. And so if you're not a fan of butterscotch, vanilla, one of those, you're probably not going to drink a lot of bourbon.
I called him a generational talent here in the Toledo area. Musa Salouk, he has been a part of some of Toledo's best restaurants over the years, and he says it didn't come easy.
I'm in the trenches, every day. You can, my wife, my family, they can attest to that. You have to be there. I'm not doing anything. I don't have anybody do anything that I wouldn't do. So
Yeah.
I'm in the trenches every day. So and you have to be, sometimes the janitor, sometimes the dishwasher, sometimes the chef, sometimes the owner, and it's just the way it is. It's the life I chose.
You tell people the training came from the School of Hard Knocks.
Yeah, that's
what does that mean exactly?
That means 18 hours a day of grinding it out, being a kid. My dad making me wash the bathrooms at like the deli or some of his bars, and just being in the trenches and going through what you go through on an everyday basis.
We saw some famous faces this year. One-time Impractical Joker star Joe Gatto made a stopover in Toledo this summer with his stand-up tour. But he's also the author of a children's book, and he told me it's a book with a message for everyone.
I think, pretty recently I went through some tough stuff in my life and I had to be able to cope. And I think my parents equipped me with coping mechanisms and being able to, quiet the noise, move the mountain of stones one by one. And I think that's really important as a parent. I think that's one of the most important things we could do as parents. We're gone, right? So they had to deal with life and had to deal with all of it. So the best we could do is give them the equipment they need. So that kind of just revealed itself in the story, which is based on a true story where my son lost his stuffy one night and was freaking out and couldn't fall asleep. So we had to go find him, and we taught him just, retrace your steps, take your time and breathe. And I'll see him at points now. I catch him doing his little namaste breathe. Like there's a page in the book where he's sitting there and he does a little breath, and I'll see him when he's overwhelmed. He'll just take a breath with his eyes closed. I'm like, oh, that's awesome.
Stay with us. Our review of 2024 on Leading Edge continues with progress, the election results, and a taking of the controls at ProMedica. Welcome back here on Leading Edge, Year in Review. In addition to telling us he's retiring, Connect Toledo's Paul Toth shared where Toledo could grow in 2025.
Most of our focus has really kind of been along the riverfront. You've seen Summit Street, and you've seen the hotels have been redeveloped, and the steam plant, and ProMedica drove so much of this. I often refer to Randy Ostra as our urban statesman who really stepped up and did it. Our master plan update that we completed at the end of last year, which kind of sets the stage for the next 5 years, is really looking at the uptown area, the warehouse district, and focusing a lot of our efforts in those areas, because those are kind of our upcoming neighborhoods and areas that we think can be a really cool part of people living downtown and enjoying that work-life balance.
The state of Ohio announced innovation hubs across this state, and that includes Northwest Ohio. We got a chance to go in depth with former Findlay mayor and current director of the Ohio Department of Development, Lydia Mahalik.
I think the whole goal behind the Innovation Hubs program was to go into regions outside of the 3 Cs across the state, look at legacy industries, glass being one here in Northwest Ohio, polymers being another over in Akron, but really help these communities, these private sector companies maintain their dominance in a global market. And the collaboration that has taken place, the silos are being broken down. Not only do you have some great glass companies in Toledo like Libby, OI, Owens Corning, First Solar, and others, all who aren't necessarily competing in the industry together. They have different sectors that they're working with, but they're all working together to come up with the latest and greatest so that they can continue to be productive. And so we're not only looking at the company and its success, but we're also investing in people. Talent attraction and retention here in Northwest Ohio is vitally important.
Brain drain, we've talked about for years,
we
right?
have great institutions of higher learning all around the region, and we want to keep that talent. They absolutely are, but we want to keep that talent here. And so when they can get an opportunity to really be exposed to these companies and what they're doing, do hands-on learning, internships, that talent pipeline will continue to flow, and we're really excited about the collaboration that's taking place.
We were all inundated with news and polls and commercials on the lead up to the election. State Representative Josh Williams joined me to discuss the op-ed he wrote for the New York Times, touching on the Trump win and the shift we witnessed.
Being on the ground before the election cycle in my neighborhoods, where my family lives in the inner city of Toledo, we knew what issues were important to them. And we believed the Democratic Party was just dismissing those voices and those concerns. I thought the Democrat Party would wake up after, that big wave and the popular vote going towards Donald Trump and the Republican Party. But I woke up to pundit after pundit just regurgitating the same issues, believing that Trump was elected because he was racist or America's misogynistic. And I wrote that op-ed hoping to wake up the Democrat Party to say, you guys are missing the ball. And if you continue down this path, you're going to lose for decades.
What's been the reaction? What's been the response?
It's been very good from both sides of the aisle.
Okay.
Right? I know lifelong Democrats that are blue-collar workers that were like, that's spot on. That's what we want our party to concentrate on, and they're missing the mark. And then I had independent voters say, this is why we actually voted for Trump. And then, of course, Republicans were like, hey, we appreciate you bringing that perspective to our party. And it was just to get the message out there. I'm trying to get the parties to realize we need to get back to the center, get back to covering issues everyday working Americans care about, right? It's not black issues, it's not white issues, it's not Hispanic issues. It's American issues. And the voters overwhelmingly said on election day that the solutions that were proposed by the GOP was what they were voting for.
Finally, it was an interview 2 years in the making. ProMedica's leadership changed 2 years ago, and it was a turbulent transition. But with where the company was financially, it had to be. And the tide at the headquarters along the Maumee River has turned.
This is me just getting out to say, hey, ProMedica's still around. We're going to be here for a long time. We've had a nice financial turnaround, so things are good, things are better. But measured. You know, we still have some debt we have to manage, and so from a community perspective, I'm still really focused on ProMedica. But I think that's really important. We employ 20,000 people. We're really a critical employer here for Northwest Ohio and Southeast Michigan, and we are the economic engine of the region, even outside of any community sponsorships or, you know, philanthropic donations we might make.
Stay with us. A final word right after this. Before we let you go, just wanted to say thank you so much for being a part of Leading Edge. For all of our family here at WTOL, the best to you and yours in the new year, and we hope to see you back here in 2025. Peace to you and yours.